Hello students, in today's lecture we will be dealing about the microbial world. The microbial world. As you all know, what do we understand by the word microbial? The microorganisms or the microbes. Students, as we all know, living organisms vary in shapes and sizes. Means living organisms अलग-अलग shapes और sizes के होते हैं. Some are big like that of a whale and some are small like an ant. But some are so tiny that we cannot see with the normal eyes. And those structures or those organisms are termed as microorganisms. Students, do you know the word microorganisms is made from the word micros, which is a Greek word meaning small organisms. Students, so the instrument which helps us to see these microorganisms or microbes is termed as microscope, as you can see on the screen. So this is a microscope which helps us to study for microbes. Now the science, students, the science of study of microorganisms is termed as microbiology. So जो भी साइंटिस्ट या बायोलॉजिस्ट माइक्रोऑर्गेनिजम्स के बारे में पढ़ते हैं उन्हें हम उनकी साइंस को हम माइक्रोबायोलॉजी बोलते हैं एंड द साइंटिस्ट आर टर्म्ड एज माइक्रोबायोलॉजिस्ट. डू यू नो, it's very interesting, the first person to observe microorganisms was Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Antony van Leeuwenhoek. And because of this reason, he is also known as the father of microscopy and microbiology. He was the only first person who discovered the microscope and through which the study or the microorganisms research started. Talk about the habitat of microorganisms. What do we understand by the word habitat? Habitat means where the organisms exist. कहाँ रहते हैं? So the simple answer that microbes are omnipresent. Omnipresent means they are present everywhere, no matter what are the conditions of temperature and pressure, but they do exist almost everywhere. So they are present in air, water, soil, and even on living organisms. They can survive in extreme conditions like hot springs, deserts, and polar regions. They can even survive into acidic and to alkaline environment as well. And you'll be amazed to know some microorganisms live alone, while some microorganisms do exist in groups, and these groups are also called as colonies. So some microorganisms have the capability of living alone and some do live in groups called as colonies. Now if we talk about the types of microorganisms, they are broadly divided into 5 types: bacteria, fungi, algae, virus, and protozoa. So the first type of microorganism which we will be dealing is bacteria, and its singular means in single form it is termed as bacterium. These are unicellular. What do we understand by the term unicellular? Means which are made up of single cell. So bacteria are unicellular. They are single cell structures and they are measured in, the size is measured in microns. Do you know, students, what is a micron? 1 micron, you will be strange to know that 1 micron is 1 to the 1000 of a milliliter, means it's very small. We can even do consider it is small as that of a cricket ball in a complete stadium. अगर पूरे stadium में cricket ball consider करें, that would be the size of a bacteria. Okay students, so bacteria are grouped under 4 categories based on the shapes. The first is the coccus, the spherical shaped bacteria. The second, the rod shape, is the bacillus. Third, The spiral shaped is the spirillum. And fourth, the comma shaped is the vibrium. So, the bacteria are divided into these four types on the basis of their shapes. Next, we move to the category called fungi. It is also the major type of microorganisms, but they can exist both as unicellular or multicellular. Students, as I have already told you, unicellular means made up of single cell and multicellular means made up of many cells. So, fungus can be unicellular or multicellular. The next comes their mode of nutrition. How do they survive? So, the mode of nutrition means they are heterotrophic basically. Heterotrophic, those are dependent on other organisms for food, and in case of heterotrophic they are parasitic or saprophytic. Students, what are parasitic? Which depend on other organisms. They live on other organisms or on the host body. On the other hand, they are saprophytic as well. Saprophytic means they are dependent on dead and decaying matter. So parasitic, which depend on host. Similarly, saprophytic depend on dead and decaying matter. So, the mode of nutrition of fungus can be parasitic or saprophytic. One interesting point, they are made of the slender thread-like filaments. As you can see on the screen itself, I have shown the slender thin filaments, but they are termed as hyphae. So, this slender thread-like filaments in fungi are termed as hyphae. Now, where are these fungi found? These fungi are found almost everywhere, but mostly on the moist bread, pickles, leather goods, rotting fruits. Some common examples of fungi are yeast, rhizopus, mushroom, and penicillin. Now, if we talk about algae, what are algae? You might have observed some green plants or green organisms which do live on stagnant water, basically on stagnant water. What is stagnant water? जो रुका हुआ पानी होता है, वो अगर पानी flow नहीं कर रहा है, it is termed as stagnant water. So above that layer we observe a green slimy structures which are termed as algae. So these are simple green plant-like organisms which do not have root, leaves or stem. But since they are of green colors, they contain what, students? Yes, they contain chlorophyll. What is chlorophyll? We know chlorophyll is a green pigment which gives green color to the organisms. So they are found where? Both in fresh water or in seawater. Now what about them? Their number of cells, they are unicellular or multicellular. So students, algae are both unicellular as well as multicellular. As I have already explained the meanings, unicellular or multicellular. You can even see on the screen how long they can be, or they can even grown in the jar. As you can you can see it how long they have turned. They can be from 1 micron to several meters. What? From 1 micron to several meters. You'll be amazed to know they're also called as grass of water. Grass of water? Now what does it mean? It means they remain floating on the surface of water. So they appear like grass because of their green color and slimy structures, but they remain on the water. Even you might have observed that many algae possesses different colors. It's because they do have different pigments in their cells. They may be green, red, or brown. Some common examples of algae are diatoms, volvox, kelmitomonas, and fucus. Next category of our microbial world is the protozoa. So, what are protozoans? They are unicellular structures, means they are made up of single cell, but they exhibit animal-like characteristics. As we have seen in algae, the last microbe, it possesses plant-like characteristics. They are green in color, but these protozoans are heterotrophic and have animal-like characteristics. Even cell wall is absent in protozoa. They can be found in favorable aquatic environment as freshwater lakes, stagnant ponds, moist soil, etc. The size of a protozoan ranges from 2 to 200 microns. Their mode of nutrition can be either symbiotic or parasitic. As we have already dealt with these two terms, parasitic, which depend on host, depend on host. And what do we understand by symbiotic? Which mutually benefit each other. So the mode of nutrition could be symbiotic or parasitic. Now the different structures in them is their mode of movement. They move with the help of some special structures such as cilia, flagella, and pseudopodia. But how do they get reproduced now? The mode of reproduction is asexual. What do we understand by the term or by the word asexual? Asexual organisms are those organisms which reproduce by their own selves, means only a single parent is able to reproduce their own generation. So their mode of reproduction is asexual, and basically again of three types: budding, binary fission, spore formation. Budding, as you can see how these organisms reproduce. Binary fission, when a single cell gets split up into two daughter cells by the elongation of the nucleus. Spore formation, the spore contains multiple nuclei, and when the spore get burst, these nuclei spread and develop to their new progeny. Progeny means their new generations. Virus. What is a virus? Why it is considered as one of the dangerous microorganisms? A virus is a microorganism which exhibits the characteristic of both living and non-living things. Now you will say, how both living and non-living things? Students, even the scientists are amazed that they sometimes exist as living and sometimes as non-living. So they have concluded that they are on the borderline between living and non-living thing. Students, when they are outside a living body, they exist as completely non-living thing. However, when they enter a living cell, they start reproducing like other living organisms. So the scientists believe that the viruses are on the borderline of living and non-living thing, and hence there is a characteristic they exhibit of both living and non-living thing. They are so tiny that they can be seen with the help of an electron microscope. It's one of the most powerful microscope. They can even grow and reproduce only inside the living cell. Therefore, they need a host. Host means the organism on which they are dependent. You will be amazed to know viruses can infect bacteria as well. And these type of viruses are termed as bacteriophages. What, students? Bacteriophages. Many of the diseases like polio, rabies, Influenza, chickenpox are caused by viruses in both humans and animals.